Yes. Tonight we are playing Fellowship. It is a cool ass kick game going on right now. 10 days left. Recently hit a 10K stretch goal, meaning that everybody who donates a new class that wasn't originally going to be in, and it is a really cool class that we will actually be showcasing tonight. It's called the Giant. If you haven't heard of Fellowship or you didn't watch this stuff last week, game sort of plays a lot like Dungeon World, where you just roll 2d6 and add appropriate modifiers. However, the cool thing about Fellowship is that each player rolls pretty much every aspect of the culture character that they chose. So, for instance, Heave, who chose the elf, anybody has a question about how elf things work, it is up to Heave. Robin, who controls the Harbinger, anybody has a question about Harbinger stuff, they ask Bobbin. And tonight we have Ape, who is controlling the orc.
Hello.
And how do you want to be addressed?
You can literally just call me Julia. It's fine.
Okay, and Julia here is actually going to be playing the Giant. They will be introduced super early in the session tonight. The Harbinger Arthur Grey and the elf Tanis the Radiant wandered into some small town that the Overlord had just conquered. And through it they found that there's a thing called the First Operation, and they went into the forest where a magical tail started following them. And then after some unfortunate...
Magical tail?
A magical being started tailing us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, while they found a blockade of the Overlord forces were, and Bobbin just pretty much bullshit through, and some bumbling on Tanis's. They both managed to get in and sabotage the tree cutter from, and at that point, some weird mage dude, Arthur Grey, and was like, "You come into my tent and we'll ask you some questions." That's when Tanis saved his ass from being magically interrogated, pretty much.
Is Kalon being really choppy to anybody else?
Yeah. He's being really choppy to everybody else.
Oh my god, again.
Later, after some failed attempts at tech support,
Arthur Grey, the Harbinger, and Tanis, the elf, are just in the middle of the forest, having barely escaped being magically interrogated by the Magical Inquisition.
Do something.
Yeah. Arthur, Tanis, what do you want to do?
I believe no one wants a spotlight, it's yours, as per the rules.
well, we were sort of debating exactly what scope the map was of before we started this session.
Right. We were sort of trying to argue about the map that you did. Like I said, I meant for it just to be a map of the forest, but I will throw a of the world at you probably tonight.
Yes, tell us about our Google Earth coverage.
Right now, your Google Earth coverage is just pretty much limited to the forest.
Well, the question is not whether or not we have a map of the world. The question is whether or not we have a map of what interests the Overlord on this world.
Oh, yes. Yes, you do. Oh, like a physical drawn map that I have made? Or no?
No, just basically, you know how in, well, I don't know, certain kinds of computer games, you foil the villain like once, and then you find out what his master plan is, and then you've got all these different places you need to get to before the other guy does. That's the sort of map I was asking about, because if we've got one of those, we can like go to a fellowship community, we can recruit the other party members, we can go on a nice big old awesome quest.
Right.
You know, has a better start than a mage and a male model walk into a bar.
That's a great start, though.
Yeah, but it's the start for the prologue, you know? We need to go to Rivendell next.
Oh boy.
You still have some stuff you need to do with the forest. I mean, if you want to abandon it and just leave this fucking forest alone, then that's fine. I can rework.
Well, suddenly we've got other priorities, which include involving the other players. I kind of put a priority on that over doing the one thing that two of us were doing before.
I had a way to introduce them if you were going to keep going with the forest, is the thing.
Then by all means, elucidate yourself.
If you want to go, I mean, I don't stop you, but I'm just saying I had a plan. But if you want to throw that plan off, that's fine. You threw the plan off the rails session.
I think part of a good D&D campaign is the plan going very much off the rails.
Yeah.
Plus, the idea of fellowship is that you are not the
Right.
DM.
Exactly. If you want to leave,
You are the enemy forces. Everybody takes
right.
part in world building.
So if you want to leave forest to the enemy forces, that is fine. And so
I just wanted to know what your alternative was before we had to choose one alternative or the other.
Basically, you know how they had the entire area quarantined and they were hunting down quote unquote poachers. I was going to have you guys like stumble upon both of them all combat against a couple of those.
One of them is a god queen. I don't think she's a poacher.
Yeah,
Hello.
I don't think she can be confused with a poacher.
No, but
I mean, it happens occasionally.
They're not going after poachers. By poachers, they mean enemies of the state.
by poachers, I mean like pretty much anybody who isn't an official part of the Overlord's army. So it like I used the poachers because that's how they're explaining it away, but basically anybody who's not part of the Overlord's army.
Again, though, one of them has a large body of worshippers.
It's only 3. That's not that large.
3 is a crowd, though.
You've got worshippers, right?
Wait, before we do that, we should actually probably establish bonds with everybody because that's important for this game is players establishing bonds with the other players.
Well, I'm not going to establish bonds until I meet them. I've kind of got this.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
that'd probably be best.
Let me establish my force on these two then. Let me bring up the Overlord. Yeah, I get to force bonds on people.
Oh.
It's fate. Let's see here.
But to answer your earlier question, once, but that was 3 centuries ago and it ended very badly. I don't want to do that again.
Why? It's pretty fucking sweet.
I know, for just the starting, though. I mean, once they start expecting things from you, things that you might not necessarily be able to accomplish.
Oh, failed to deliver. Okay. Typical.
All right.
Well, I'm not the one with the phenomenal cosmic powers, you know? Just,
Semi-phenomenal, nearly cosmic powers.
I was going to say Arthur C. Clarke magic powers.
All right. Ape, I have killed someone important to you.
What now? Who did?
I did, the Overlord.
Okay, cool.
And let's see, Julia. You know where to find one of my sources of power.
Awesome.
Find source of power. Okay. I wrote those down just so that way I can write them down a little more legibly next time I look at this.
You wrote them down so that you'd be able to write them down later.
Well, I mean, they're pretty... It's like writing shorthand to writing legibly later. Because I don't want to spend forever writing actually legibly because I write pretty slowly otherwise. According to the rules, I have to tell you how I advance my plans. And because that's part of what happens when I level up. And basically, once you guys get back to town a couple of days later, well, once Arthur and Stannis get back to town a couple of days later, and the other two of you will do this in some other way, you have heard that a massive, massive army has marched upon one pretty big city that has so far managed to avoid a pretty much ever-growing reach, and they pretty much declared open war on me, and now my city has asked upon them, started a siege.
Okay.
Yep, that's it. That's how that's how my plans advance. Siege has started.
Okay,
We'll fix it. Don't worry about it.
sure.
We've also got this forest issue in front of us.
Yes. So do you want to now? This is between Heave and Bobbin in particular. You want to keep doing the thing with the forest, or do you want to do something else?
Well, we wouldn't know the city thing, or do our characters know the city thing is going on?
If you go back to town, yes, you would know. It's big enough news that they would know in town. But if you don't go,
But we do not know right now.
not right now, no.
Then I assume we'd continue fucking around in the forest.
Okay, Bobbin, is that fine with you? All right. So as you walk through the forest, following the map that you have cured of important areas, the forest, even though you can't.
Wait, did we just decide whether to do the one thing or the other yet?
Do you still want to fuck around in the forest? Want to go someplace else?
I want to gather some allies. Seems like that would be the right neighborly thing to do.
Wait, you're neighborly now.
Well, when somebody's come along and started cracking everybody's skulls, it's generally good manners to help them out before, they get to your skull.
Well, okay, we can go back to town. My buzz is wearing off anyway.
All right. So you head back to town, and then you hear the news about the city siege. And when you look at the world map, pretty much that city is not too far away. I mean, it's a pretty hefty walk, but it's not too far away. If you were to ride, it would probably be, I don't know, 4 or 5 days worth of a ride. Horseback, that is.
Is it an orc city?
Yes, it is. We will say it is an orc city.
All right then.
Because if we can get there and we can do something, then the orcs might think that, it might be a good idea to help us. Like with the forest job.
Maybe. So,
What do you think?
yeah, Heave, what do you think?
Yeah, sure, let's ride for the York City.
I thought we were supposed to address as player names.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I meant...
Oh, who cares?
It doesn't really matter. We all know what's going on. Alright, so you guys ride off for this city, and describe the city, since it is an orc city, and therefore under...
Well, the Orc City is a roaring industry. Actually, it's an arms manufacturer. We were building up an army, an anti-resistance against the Overlord, and in the middle of it, they caught wind of our plans, and now they're sieging us.
Alright, and
Basically, think like pretty shit. What's the name of the movie? Blade Runner kind of scrap. Everything's soot and dust and grime, but everything's high tech.
Alright, and as you guys walk up to the city, you can actually see the mass amounts of armies, pretty much composed mainly of humans and those other creatures that you saw that were a combination of orcs, humans, and elves that we were calling Urukai. You still haven't really learned what their actual name is. Basically, you see...
Are they even native to this planet?
Go ahead and roll... What would be best to determine that?
Wisdom?
Hey, roll your Wikipedia check.
Roll for internet connection.
Yeah, go for wisdom. Let's wisdom see if they're even native to this planet.
Yeah, just I'm an experienced globetrotter, literally. Trotted between globes.
And you were also on the Harlem Globetrotters for a while.
Well, they weren't the Harlem Globetrotters, but 6.
6, you have no fucking clue.
Clearly.
You cannot stand the song Sweet Georgia Brown anymore.
All right.
Anyway,
I found the move that sort of describes the situation, by the way,
What is it?
which is command lore. When someone asks something about your character or your people, tell them. When you ask about another character or their people, they will tell you. When you ask about the Overlord, they alone may choose not to answer.
All right. So basically, you don't know.
So, considering the Urukai are essentially your people, it's entirely your decision whether or not to tell
All
us.
right. Yeah.
and
No, you don't know.
when.
All right. And as you're walking, as you're like sort of watching and trying to find a way to sneak in without getting the entire army's attention, you see that there are a couple of siege engines that look like the I'm brain farting right now, but the things that chuck the boulders, catapults, yes.
Trebuchet?
The most basic of siege engines, and I can't remember the fucking name. But there are catapults, and they're chucking iron boulders, and when they disappear in, you can actually hear sounds of battle coming from inside not long after.
we have good hearing.
Apparently.
Well, I mean, it's a big fucking siege, and also as you're managing to you look down, you see one of the siege engines just completely just crumble, and then the actual like part that chucks the boulders. I don't know specific parts.
The arm?
Yes, thank you.
This is great. I'm so immersed right now.
I'm the best.
I like that we have this high technology setting on the edge of space, and you've got literal catapults chucking boulders.
Catapult.
Well, hold on. They're catapults that are also cannons. Calm down.
It could be trebuchets, that's much more high tech.
Oh, relatively speaking. Yeah.
The arm just is lifted up, swung around, and you can see a couple of the armies just being not armies, a couple of the soldiers just going flying, and you see this person with 6 arms holding it and swinging it back and forth and just swathing huge path of just through the army.
So I figured it out. I know why the Overlord's invading everything. He's a Luddite. He hates all this fucking technology.
Nobody's gonna understand that if they're just watching this.
Nope.
Watching what? I'm not seeing anything.
Whatever. Shut up.
Moving along.
But yes, this is the introduction to Julia's character. Julia, go ahead and describe your character.
All right, my character's name is Sworna Adiyantaya, the goddess body made flesh. She has vacant eyes, very long hair, fancy robes, and a tiny body. Her personal agenda is to be needlessly aggressive, which means pick a fight and be a real jerk about it too. What else do you need to know? I'm a giant, and I'm fucking sweet.
Tell everybody a little bit about giants, because you had some really cool lore going on with the giants.
Okay, so basically I chose giants in spirit, which means I'm not physically large. I'm like a normal sized person, except I have all the attributes of being a giant, so I can pick up shit and toss it around. I came up with the idea that giants are like weird spiritual energy beings who inhabit a physical body because they can't do anything otherwise, and they like mess with the physical body. So I have 6 arms, and another giant might have a pig head. I don't know. And then when the physical body dies, the being goes on to someone else in the family line. So that's it, yes. Unless you need to know anything else.
No, that's good for now. And you guys.
So think Hindu gods, which are actually known for reincarnating in mortal bodies.
Yep, I'm basically a god. I'm pretty great.
All right, and Heave and Bobbin, as you watch this, you notice that there are a couple of
Character names.
Oh yes, sorry. Arthur and Tannis. You notice that as this 6-armed person is swinging the arm of the catapult, a couple of human soldiers just run up to her, swing their swords, and the swords do absolutely jack shit. And then they look at the swords and they look at her and they run away.
What a merry jest this is. This is so fun.
What did you say your name was again?
I'm Sworna, and I'm pretty cool.
Sworna. Okay.
Yep.
And it's at this point, right after you notice that, you can sort of hear over the sounds of battle the humans yelling for backup from the Gruul. And that's at that point where you see those Urukai fuckers start walking up to Sworna and brandishing their huge ass, like basically arms length meat cleavers. Yes, they're huge ass. They're huge asses. But also they're arm length meat cleavers.
I just had an idea. Just had an idea about a bond.
Yes.
Would be to say that Sworna is the person who informed me that the evil overlord is on this planet.
Works for me.
That's cool. Awesome.
What was Heaves' character's name again, real quick?
Tannis the Radiant. T-A-N...
Tennis?
No, T-A-N-I-N-S.
Call him Tennis.
I'm already doing a nickname thing with the evil overlord.
Yeah, Crunchy. Overlord Crunchy. If you ever call him that to his face, he will probably murder you.
He can try.
Well, I mean, as close to murder as you can get with a literal immortal being.
Okay, bond is written.
All right. Do you want to bond with Arthur Day at all, Sworna?
Yes, I do. I have 2 bonds, and for Arthur, I think I'm going to go wherever Arthur goes, chaos follows. And I'm the goddess of chaos and destruction, so I must follow him. Which is why I invited him here. It's going to be really fun.
Excellent.
Sounds like
Excellent.
fun on a bun.
Gonna be one hell of a road trip. I can say that.
All right, so it's at this point 4 of the Gruul, spelled Grull, start walking up to her, brandishing their meat cleavers, and one of them actually starts swinging at Sworna. And Sworna knows, just from sort of looking at them, that unlike the humans, these guys might actually do damage if they make contact with those fucking swords.
Oh boy, they're worthy foes? Perfect. I put down the catapult, and I pull out my giant anime sword.
Yep.
Well, you don't really pull out a giant anime sword, though. You sort of just move it from one position on your body to another.
Yep, pretty much.
Or you just make it appear from the void. One of the two, depending on the anime.
Okay, and then can I do a move? I'm going to toss them aside. I'm just going to like swat my sword at them and send them flying, hopefully, maybe.
Okay, that sounds like an
Blood.
overcome, so roll blood.
Actually, I have a move called Toss Aside where I literally throw things away from me,
Oh, okay, so go.
which is also blood, so I will do that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a 7. On a 7 through 9, I choose one. I will choose they crash through something or into someone. So, I don't know, they hit another catapult? Who knows?
Well, you do.
Well, you gave the idea, so you pick up one of the Gruul and just basically what you could describe as the scruff of the neck. Even though they don't really have scruffs, you have somehow managed to find it, and you just pick them up by it, hold them over your head.
Bent their spine inwards in order to get the gripping room.
Yep. You pick him up, you hold him overhead, and you throw him straight into the catapult, which causes it to crumble. However, a couple others have started to move in and swing at you, so go ahead and try to avoid them. I think that is either an overcome or a get away, so which would you prefer to do?
I have -1 grace, so I will overcome it
How do you want to overcome it?
by... Let me read some of these. Well, it says under overcome, you can use blood if you drop on your pride or rage, and I'm everything but rage and pride. So I will try and overcome it just by being a badass and not caring.
All right, go ahead and roll.
Okay, I got a 6, so that's not good.
One of them cleaves right into you. You try standing there being all badass. It just slices right into your side, and it damages your blood.
By the way, it says that you name a steep price, so I have to pay a price. And because I'm larger than life, I have to pay an additional price the first scene when I have to pay a price. So you get to name a second thing that happens to me.
All right.
Oh boy.
What is your gear again? Go ahead and list your gear.
Let me see. I've got some food, but that's not really awesome. I've got my fists are listed as gear. I've got a sword that's giant. I also have a boulder. I have 3 worshippers, and then the rest of my stuff is like my skin like iron and regeneration.
All right. One of your followers also has one of their stats damaged. I'm not really sure what this. Yeah.
Oh my
what
god.
one of the stats on
Oh my god.
the worshippers are, but you go ahead and choose which worshipper and which stat.
All right.
And there was much rejoicing.
Laxmi gets damaged because she likes to fight with me, and she doesn't have regeneration, so I'm going to immediately use one of my regenerations to not have my blood be damaged anymore. But she's bleeding out of her face, and that's
Right.
not
So
nice.
one
That's
of her
really
stats
sad.
is damaged, and she has like you are hit, and even though the hit is clean, your regeneration takes care of it right away. But your follower is not so lucky, as her face is just smashed in with the pommel of one sword from one of the gruel, and they are
Oh
starting to surround
my
you.
god.
And this would be a good point for either Tannis or Arthur to get involved and try and save Arthur's friend / acquaintance.
How deep is she into the camp exactly? Into the siege camps?
Not too deep. She's in one of the ones that are closer to the back.
How much can I drag?
What?
I think that's up to you.
Drag? Yeah. That is, I think it is completely up to you. Because there are no stats like that.
Okay, fine. Let's charge in and grab her.
All right. Roll
Whoa.
get away, which is grace based.
Yep. And I have even more grace now, by the way, so that's fun. That means a little fuck up my wall. Okay, no. With my plus, that becomes a 10.
Okay, so you get to choose all 3, I guess.
Yeah. I get all of them.
So you get there quickly, avoid any harm. Get there quietly, join in, and you grab someone and bring them along with you. So you basically get in, grab Sworna's hand, and leave while the Gruul are just so busy in combat with some other orcs that have just appeared.
Grab your followers. You have 6 arms.
Yeah, okay, fine. God, that was fun though, right? Weird looking man with a stupid suit.
It's not really a suit.
It's really bad.
Hey, you did not just insult my fashion.
I mean, you can call it fashion, I guess.
It's the hottest fashion of the elf world.
Okay, whatever.
I don't know why I'm French now.
It comes and goes. Okay, I'm going to roll my doom stat, jump on my tablet, engage hover mode, and just, get the hell over the siege while everyone's distracted by the ruckus on the ground.
All right, go ahead and roll Doom.
10.
All right, you managed to float over and get into the orc city without anybody on the ground really noticing. This leaves Tannis and Sworna needing to get into the city with you.
If we have to get into the city, I'm going to do something really stupid.
Well, I thought that was an extension of the getaway, though. Getting away into the city out of the siege camps.
Oh, well.
I was just grabbing her, like, out of the middle of her getting the crap beaten out of her.
Right.
I was fine. Did you see that part where they like tried to cut off my head and then it grew back? Jeez,
That's why I sort of ignored the melee. It just floated on over.
I was fine.
Saw her in the middle of that and went, she'll do fine. Probably should have warned you about that, but
I mean, now I got this sweet head.
Okay. I trust you to find your own way into the city. I say climbing into a catapult.
This sounds like a great idea. I'm gonna get in after him.